Hi guys, it's Alicia and I'm here with a Saturday Stash Dive. My partner this week is Dannielle Brown and we are doing stencils, so make sure that you go check her out. So what you just saw there is kind of what I'm using here. I have a white piece of 12 by 12 paper. I had an iris case out that has all my stencils in it, and I chose that brick one out of there. And I have some cardstocks. So that brick stencil is just one that I actually purchased from Michael's, I believe. Very inexpensive. It is a little thin, but I really like the pattern on it. So I also pulled out a couple Tattered Angels. I don't know if they're called chalkboard mists or blackboard mist or something like that. Um, but I have one in like a mint color and a pink color. And so what I've done is I've sprayed kind of like in a diagonal, I guess is the best way to explain it, with one side being pink and one side being the mint color. And you really want to make sure you clean your stencils off. So I kept that part in. Um, okay, just hang on, honey. And but I did cut out the other parts where I was cleaning off the other stencils that I've used, just because this video was like 30 minutes at first. Hang on, Olivia, please. So, yeah, what I thought to do with stencils is there's so many different things you can do with stencils, but I wanted to kind of show their versatility in the fact that you can really take something plain and make it very quite interesting with a stencil. And so I decided that I wanted to use all just solid cardstocks and create my own pattern paper, if you will, with stencils. So that is what I am doing with them. And I'm going to do a couple different techniques to achieve that. So I just matted my photo there, which is actually three photos, like printed out into one thing, on like a darker piece of pink cardstock. And then I'm using this like minty aqua blue color. And right now what I'm doing is I'm just figuring out kind of how I want my layers to be and what colors I want to sit where, what shapes, just basic layering. And so I did want to throw a little pop of yellow in there. And because I'm not using any pattern papers, which is different for me, I kind of wanted to do colors that I was comfortable with. And so I did go with like a pink, aqua, yellowy color scheme, which is something that I'm comfortable using. So yeah, you're just going to see me here cut these papers. And my thought with the layering is just really nothing special. I'm just kind of arranging them so that, everything balances out vertically and horizontally. And just making a little notch with my fingernail and then cutting with my trimmer. So yeah, this is how they're going to be arranged on the final layout. And I wanted that pink piece to layer behind the blue piece. So I wanted the kind of the lighter yellow color, the softer color on top of the mint piece, and then the kind of I mean it's still a light pink, but I felt like it was more vibrant than the yellow, so I put that underneath. Here's that iris case I have of all my stencils again, and I love stencils. They are probably, if not like my favorite thing. I love them. I use them constantly. Um, and I just think they're great. I'm addicted. So I'm just pulling out different stencils that I'm thinking I might want to use, and I'm going more for like geometric patterns or simpler shapes. Like I'm kind of staying away from the, like the script right there and like the damask ones I have and stuff like that. I'm just going for more geometric repeating shapes. So this is a Teresa Collins stencil, and you can purchase that at Joann's, and I love it. I have a weird thing with triangles. I've mentioned it before, and so I love this stencil. So what I'm going to do here is I lined that strip of cardstock up on my grid right there. And in hindsight, I mean, I just did it on this. I usually do pull out my craft mat, but I Don't know why I didn't this night, but I didn't. So I lined it up with my grid mat and I just taped it down, on the top and bottom just to hold everything in place. And then I went and grabbed my gelatos. Those are by Faber-Castell, and you can get them anywhere. I mean, online, big box stores, I'm sure local scrapbook stores. And this is just the top to my like brush cleaner thing. And I just put some that's actually clear Wendy Vecchi embossing paste, but I mean, you could use gel medium, you could use, I mean, I don't know if I'd recommend modeling paste. I wanted to use something clear so that it would retain its color. And I just used a yellow and then a little bit of the gold to tone it down a little bit. So it would almost be a tone on tone effect. And then I'm just using this spatula, which is actually a cake frosting spatula. Don't worry, I'm not frosting cakes with it anymore. And I just like using that sometimes because it's long, so you can get a really I love you too, honey. You can get a very consistent level with it. And then I also had my little spatula thing also. And so you can see how that came out, and you'll see the little darker spots, and that's where the gelato didn't completely, I didn't sit there and mix out every little chunk, but I was okay with that. So I am now moving on to this mask, which is a Heidi Swapp mask, I believe, and I don't know if that one is from like a Michaels or Joann's, but it's from one of them. And again, I'm going to line this up on my grid mat. And this time I am going to just daub some ink through it, some distress ink. And I'm using Evergreen Bow, which is going to, again, be like a tone on tone type of look. And you'll see I have a little helper over there. Yeah, so I'm just using a finger dauber because those holes are pretty small. And this one I didn't bother taping down because I can kind of hold it without it getting too messy. And again, you can work on a craft sheet for this type of thing. I just was being lazy, so I wasn't. But I do also want to mention, like as with the other one, inks, you can kind of get away with, letting your stencil sit for, I mean, I would wash it off before you use it again so you don't have color mixing. But like with something like the embossing paste or modeling paste or anything, you definitely want to clean it off immediately um, because when it dries, it's just on there. I have a favorite stencil of mine that I didn't clean very well once, and it's just, I mean, it still works, but it's just stuck on there. So, moving on. For this lighter pink cardstock that's going to be layered in the back, I wanted to use this Tim Holtz stencil, and this has like the alphabet on it. And while this isn't a geometric pattern, I just thought it brought some playfulness into the layout because the pictures, I don't know if you saw them earlier, but those are of my daughter, my youngest daughter. And so I just thought this was a fun way to kind of bring a little bit of playfulness into the layout. So what I am doing here is I'm taking some I can't talk. Unicorn Hero Arts ink. It's a pigment ink and just a makeup sponge, and I'm just sponging it through there, and I'm just going to lift it up to check, and it was like very light. I mean, you could kind of see it, but it was extremely light. So now I'm trying to get creative. It took me so long because I have a Mr. Huey's opaque white, which I was pretty sure would show up, but I couldn't find it. So what I used was my Delusions white, Delusions, I don't know. And that didn't really change it that much. And I'm going to hold it up in a second. You see me cleaning off a little bit. I'm going to hold it up in a second so that you can kind of see what I see. And I'm sorry, my lights kind of hinder it a little bit, but you can see when I hold it at that angle. You can kind of see it, but it's very pale. So then at this point, I decided, well, let me try to do like a shadow effect. And so this is a technique you can do with stencils. And what I'm doing is I'm just moving it slightly over to the right of the pattern that I've already laid down. And I'm taping it back down. And now I'm going to take a spun sugar. That's just a chart that I have of all my stuff. I'm going to take a spun sugar. Oh, I was eating M&Ms apparently. No wonder this layout took forever. I'm using a spun sugar distress marker in my Tim Holtz marker spritzer here, and I love that thing. I use it quite a bit. And I spritz it through. And like I said, it's hard to pick it up in the video, but there is a shadow effect, like a double effect, where there's the white and then the pink. And then I just loved how all of these turned out, like with a tone on tone. It just, um, I don't know, I just liked it. And so this paper warped quite a bit, from the mist. And so I'm just trimming it down. I believe, what is that, a half an inch on each side. And, I pulled out this gold foil paper that I have had for ages, and it's really, really beautiful. And I think I just subconsciously hoarded it, but I am going to use it today. So I am cutting this down, a half an inch on each side, it looks like. Or did I cut it down just a half an inch altogether? So it's probably a quarter inch smaller on each side. And I'm just cutting out the middle because I don't want to waste it. Because what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to double mat this. So that is a piece of Cartabetta. Oh my goodness. Cartabetta? Cartabella Hello Again paper. And the thing I love about Cartabella paper is it's really thick. I mean, it has almost like a watercolor paper texture to it. So I knew that it would definitely be sturdy enough while, even if I still cut the middle out of this gold foil paper, which is also pretty sturdy. And it's just beautiful. I just love the gold. So I'm just using my brayer to bray that down to make sure all the tape is, you know, connected. I was going to use my bone folder, but I didn't want to put any accidental embossing because it would show so much on the gold. So I'm putting quite a bit of ATG on the back, to hold it. And you're going to see me. I am the worst liner upper of papers in the world. Thank goodness this gold foil paper is a bit forgiving with the tape. So I was able to pry it up a bit. And I'm trying to attempt to use my T-square ruler here to line it up. And then I'm just like, okay, you're going to see my head. And I'm just going to try to do it from the top here. But it was totally worth it because I mean, look how beautiful that looks. I love it. I love that just thin border, excuse me, of the gold foil. I just think it makes everything pop so much. I That's so cliche. I mean, no offense to anyone that says that. I always hear people say that though, like make it pop. But I just in this case, I feel like that's the right word. So I'm going to do one more thing with the stencil here, and this is another Tim Holtz, stencil, and I also adore this stencil. I want to say this was the first Tim Holtz stencil that I bought, not my first ever stencil, but the first Tim Holtz one, and I used this stencil so much when I got it. It was like ridiculous. I love it, and I still use it. So in this case, I'm using modeling paste and I am using, Golden brand. Now I have used Liquitex, which is a great modeling paste. My only issue with it is that it dries out in the container. So like if you see how you kind of scrape your spatula on the side of the container, mine would just completely dry up. So like on the edges and it'd be like this thick layer of like dried modeling paste crust on the rim, and then once it got close to being gone it just got so thick and goopy that it was unusable. So I decided to try the golden and it's okay. I mean, I like the fact that it stays the correct consistency in the container. So I will say though, it does puff up when I use my heat gun because I'm impatient. So, so anyways, I, put those splatters on there on each end of kind of my little cluster there. And then I took some Heidi Swap Gold and a round, brush and I just dipped it in there and then tapped it to make like little tiny splatters. Um, so I like how that came out. So I'm just going to fool around and see if I can figure out a different way that I like these layers. But I am going to go back to just the original way, of how they were. And look at those pictures. Aren't they funny? I'll tell you the story about them in a second. So yeah, so okay, hang on, honey. So I decided to bring in just a little bit more of this gold foil because, oh, it's so beautiful. And so I just thought I would layer it on the side of this yellow paper, just a very thin strip. And so that's what I did. And then I just clipped off the excess and it's just kind of like another little pop. So I'm gonna start, taping some stuff down here because I'm tired of, messing with these layers. I've messed with them enough. And so yeah, so that is how they are going to be, and I just think it looks great. I mean, they're obviously, not store-bought and pattern papers, but I think it definitely adds a nice interest to the page. So I'm looking through some stamps that I keep nearby me, and I'm thinking about doing some stamping and then cutting it out as an embellishment. So I pull out this Technique Tuesday stamp, which I love, but it's not going to make it on this layout. Actually, it doesn't make it on most layouts. Even though I love that stamp set, I don't know. I really want to white emboss it on some cork if I ever get the time. So this big ceramic bowl thing is just a big thing where I just throw loose embellishments or packages of embellishments that are open and falling apart or whatever the case is. So I have all these trays and then it's just filled everywhere. So I kind of sped this up to 8 times versus the rest of the video has been at 4 times just because this just takes me forever and I'm just looking through stuff. So yeah, so I'll talk about the picture a little bit while I'm going through this big bowl of stuff. This picture is of my youngest daughter, and I don't know what she was doing one day. She was kind of being playful with her dad, and so her dad took her and hung her like we have one of those over the door hanger things in our bedroom and literally hung her by her shirt on this hanger. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna like freak out, you know. But she thought it was hilarious, and so I hurry up and snapped some photos, and it was just so funny. So that thing I just cut up was a LA Studio journaling card, and I believe Sandra, who's Osam Gonzo, gave me that. I have two, and I don't know. One of them came from her, and I don't know where the other one came from. I've just had it in my stash. So if that is from you, thanks, Sandy. And if that one's not from you, thanks for the other one. So yeah, I'm gonna do my journaling on that one, but. Anyways, yeah, these embellishments are just a mix of different things. Some are Heidi Swap, some are Dear Lizzie, some are just sticker sheets that I don't know where they came from. They came from somewhere. That bow is a bow that I made from the Tim Holtz bow die thing, and I just have never used it, and so I threw it in the bowl. That's what I call it. Just put it in the bowl. That's what I tell my kids. So, as you can see, I've pulled out all kinds of things. So, yeah, that picture was really funny. So, you'll see in the bottom right corner by that journaling spot thing I'm going to use, I put this little glitter flag thingy. I liked the pink in it and I liked the gold, and I think that's from the Pure collection, so it's pretty old and I kind of wanted to use it, but it ends up just throwing everything off. Like, I really had a hard time with my clusters because I found a lot of mint embellishments, but I was having a hard time, and I found enough yellow ones, but I was having a hard time finding enough pink to put in each of the clusters or whatever they are that I am trying to do. So I'm going to do my journaling quick with a pink pen to help, actually it's a distress marker, to kind of help bring some pink in. And I'm going to pop that up because that flag thing is there. But I'm going to end up taking that off because I just can't. You'll see when I start pulling out like flare badges and stuff, it just does not work. It starts throwing everything off. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I just wanted to speak on that in case I got sidetracked later. So I thought before I do anything else, I'm going to get some letter stickers out and get my title going. So I pulled out some wax paper because I wasn't exactly sure where I wanted it. And I'm going to take these Amy Tangerine like clear tile stickers, and I love these. I mean, I don't even know where I can get them anymore. Maybe they're online. I would buy like 1,000 packages of them. I love those and I hoard them horribly. So I just never want to run out of them. So anyways, I spelled out just with those letters. And then these are some not Amy Tangerine, Dear Lizzie gold glitter foam thickers. And I'm going to spell out Hangin'. And I didn't have two ends, so I just cut an M apart. And yeah. And then these are some letter stickers from Glitz Wild and Free, I believe. And I'm going to use that. It's not really a mint, but it's so small that you can't tell. It's like more of like a aqua. or a turquoise, but and I'm gonna put around in those letters. So the title's gonna be just hanging around because she was just hanging on my door. Uh, anyways, so yeah, I cut all three of those words separately so that I could kind of place them where I wanted. And what I decided to do is to um, start each word kind of at the corner of each layer on that side. So if you can see the just is lining up with the yellow piece, the hanging is lining up with that pink piece. And so I wanted to line up the around with that mint piece, but it just felt too separated from the rest of the title. It was just so far down. So I ended up moving it up a tad, and I think it helped kind of bring it together a little bit more. It was just too far down. Uh, if I would have lined that one. So I was happy with that. It looks fine. And I'm still trying to make this bow work, but it's not going to work. So now I'm pulling out some flare and I'm going to use this Studio Calico flare. And I peeled the pop dot off the back of it and I tried to show you real quick how much thinner these other pop dots are. And it was just so thick. So you see I took that flag off and switched the pop dots out on the flare and put it down next to that banner. And I like that better than that flag being there. I'm sorry for all the noise. This is just what my house sounds like. So just, it's in every video of mine and I try to but it's just how my house is. So, you know. So now I pulled out some enamel dots and I'm just, trying to figure out how to bring some pink into these clusters because I have more than a million pink embellishments. So I don't know what my problem was, but I just couldn't get any pink on here. So I ended up putting one gold glitter enamel dot, one pink, and one mint in each one. And now I'm going to take a Maggie Holmes roller date stamp, and it's just 4 hearts, I believe, in a row, 5 hearts. And I'm using Delicata Gold ink, and I'm just stamping random places. And that's it. The close-ups are going to be quick because it's 8 times speed, but thanks for watching, and make sure you go check out Danielle's video. Bye, guys.